Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the STEAM train. This is the 3 p.m. session for kids in 3rd to 5th grade, but kids in all ages can feel free to join in and participate. We're going to have a really awesome lesson today. I hope you guys are enjoying, and don't forget to check out newminds.tv, our new domain where you can access all of these videos, not just from my segment, but from Mr. Adams, Miss Catalina, Mr. Walter, and the morning and closing announcements all in one place. I hope you guys are ready for today's lesson because we're going to learn a little bit about probability. A probability is just a big word to say that there's different things that can happen. You've probably seen this more than you think. Probability is the same thing that happens when you flip a coin, when you roll a dice on your favorite game, or when you draw a card. All of these things involve probability. Probability is just telling you your chances of a certain outcome or result, or a certain thing is going to happen. So when I flip a coin, there are two things that can happen. You can get heads, or you can get tails. So if I flip this one, I got tails. Now there's only two sides, so the chances of me getting tails were 1 out of 2. So this is just a fraction. So if I want to make it a little easier for myself, I can just draw that there are two options. So I'm drawing two circles, and one of them would be the one I want, so I'm going to color it in. So my options are 1 out of 2, and that's for a coin. And that's pretty simple. Everyone knows a coin, you get two options, there's only two sides, and you have half the time you're going to win, and half the time you're going to lose. Or it should be. It's not always true, sometimes you get heads a bunch, sometimes you get tails a bunch, but it should work out to about half and half. But you get way more cool options when you start to add something in, like a dice into your favorite game. This is a 6-sided dice. It is just a cube with a different number on each side. So each face has its own number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is a yellow dice. I'm going to hold it up a little closer. So all of the different outcomes are listed on this dice. And I have 6 different options that I can end up with. I have 6 different probabilities. Only one side is going to show at a time. So if I roll it, only one side's going to face up because it's a cube. I can't have two sides facing up and it balance on the side. So I'm always going to end up with one option. So if I do the same thing that I did with the coin, where I draw 6 circles and then color one in, I can see my chances of getting any number. So I have the same chance of getting a 1, of getting a 2, of getting a 3, of getting a 4, of getting a 5, and getting a 6. It's all the same chance to get the same number. So if I color one in, I have a 1 out of 6 chance of getting the number I want. So if I want a 4, 1 out of 6 times I'm going to get a 4. I didn't get it that time. Didn't get it that time. Not quite. That's number 4. Didn't get it yet. 5. Didn't get it yet. And I actually got a 4 on the 6th try. So that actually worked out really well. But just about every 6 times I should get a 4. Sometimes this will happen more, sometimes this will happen less. Probability isn't a guarantee. It just tells you what should happen. So if I flip a coin, heads or tails, I should get heads half the time, and I should get tails half the time. But you could get heads 6 times in a row and get tails just once. This is going to happen, but if you have a bigger and larger test, it's going to work out to about 50-50. It all depends on the size of your test. If I only roll the dice 2 times and I get the same number twice, 5 and 5, the dice isn't always going to give me 5. I just haven't had enough tests to figure out the probability yet. And this is all just doing math. But there's more than just coins and dice. There's actually all sorts of different dice of all sorts of different shapes. We have dice with 4 sides. We have dice with 6 sides. We have dice with 8 sides. We have dice with 10 sides, 12 sides, and 20 sides. So these are a lot of different dice, but there's one really important thing. All the probabilities have to be equal. On a coin, I have the same chance of getting either side, On these dice, I have the same chance of landing either side because all the shapes are the same. If I have a 4-sided dice, all the sides are triangles. None of them are bigger than the others. None of them are smaller than the others. They all have to be the same shape. If there was one really big side and 3 really small sides, that's not a fair dice, and that one doesn't get the same probability as an actual even fair dice. Same thing as a cube. All the sides are squares. Every side's going to be a square no matter which way I look at it. The same thing with the 8-sided dice. They're triangles again. We have 8 of them. This one, we have a cool shape. It is a quadrilateral. It's almost like a diamond. It has 2 small sides and 2 big sides, but they're all even on both sides of the dice. A 12 is actually all pentagons. And a 20 is actually all triangles. And these dice are really cool, and if you really want to get a chance to use more of these dice, our dungeon program on Saturdays and Sundays is actually a really cool place where you can get to use all these different dice in a game if you've never seen them before. That's going to be also during the Dungeonverse block. We're going to talk more about role-playing games, but today we're just talking about regular board games. And I actually have an example of one. Trouble is a really cool game because the dice is actually kept inside this dome right here. It's super cool. The dice actually can't get away, so you can't lose it. And all you do is you pop the dice. I have to set it down. And it rolls it for you. So I got a 3 that time. But the cool thing is that this has the same probability as a regular 6-sided dice. So you've seen these before. You're always going to get a number from 1 to 6. On a 6-sided dice, you're never going to roll an 8. You're never going to roll a 25. You're always going to get 1 through 6. Probability doesn't just happen with dice and coins. It happens in all sorts of different games where you have choices. Let's say you go on a game show. It's like, well, you finally made it to the big grand prize, and I have 3 doors. I have door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. Behind one of them is an amazing prize. What would your chances be of picking the right door? Since there's 3 options, and you only get to pick one, it would be 1 out of the 3. So 1/3 of the time, you're going to win. 2/3 of the time, you're going to lose. There are some ways you can use the same thing to make better odds. If I want to make a 6-sided dice, only have 2 options like a coin, I can change what I'm looking for. I can say, I want this 6-sided dice to be only even numbers or odd numbers. Half of the numbers are even, 2, 4, and 6. Half of the numbers are odd, 1, 3, and 5. So instead of having a 1 out of 6 chance, let's see what our chances are. Let's say we want to roll an even number. So I know first even number would be 2, and then our next even number would be 4, and our next even number would be 6. So now if I'm just rolling for even numbers, now my dice is half and half. Half of them are even and half of them are odd. So now my odds are 1 out of 2 because there's 2 options, and one time it's going to be it, and the other one it's not, of getting an even number. And you can do all sorts of different things to change how dice work. Maybe you need a number that's 5 or bigger, so 5 or 6. If you've ever played the game Sorry, that game's hard because you need very specific cards to start the game. And they're actually not that common. So that's the hardest part of Sorry, is starting the game. The same thing can happen with cards. We're going to have a really cool activity just in a little bit, so hang in there. But our cards are the same thing. We can do all sorts of different games with cards. There's hundreds and hundreds of different games that cards can play, but we can just do a probability game. One of them can just be guessing what color the card's going to be. There's red cards and there's black cards. So we know that's 1 out of 2. You can get one of the options. And if you guess red or black, it's a black card. And this is a really simple game. But if you want to change the odds and make it harder, because a smaller number with a bigger denominator, which makes it a fraction because there's a number on top and a number on bottom, makes it harder to win. 1 out of 2 is actually pretty easy to win. 1 out of 100 is actually really, really hard to win. And 1 out of 1,000,000, that's pretty much like winning the lottery. It's almost impossible. But we can do the same thing with cards. There's actually 4 what are called suits. There's clubs, spades, diamonds, and hearts. So you can try and pick. I want there to be a heart, and you can draw a card, like, oh, sorry, it's a spade. And all these different things can be probability. Since there's 4 suits and you get 1 choice, that's 1 out of 4. You can make it even harder and be like, I'm going to guess the correct card. I know exactly which card it's going to be. There's 13 different cards. There's king, queen, jack, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then an ace. So that's going to be really, really hard to guess, but it's 1 out of 13. And if you want to guess, I'm going to know exactly what card it's going to be. Even the right color, the right symbol, and the right number. Well, that's 1 out of 52 because there's only 1 of those cards and there's 52 of them. So you can find the probability of anything, and you can know how hard or how easy it's going to be. If you've ever gone to an arcade and you see all these games that can let you win tickets, you can think about how often would I win a ticket. If there's 20 different things I can land on and 4 of them are good, then that's 4 out of 20. I could do some simplifying and say it's 2 out of 10, and then it's 1 out of 5. So I have a 1 out of 5 chance. So maybe if I play the game 5 times, I might win once. That might not be a good game to play. I'm going to show you one fun game you can play just while you're at home. It takes very little supplies. All it takes is something like 3 cups or 3 pieces of paper. I'm actually going to use 3 sticky notes. And a very small pieces of paper. Mine's named Jeffrey. I gave him eyebrows. And this is a really simple game. It's just like a game show at the beginning. There's 3 doors to choose from, and you want to try and win the big prize. So I'm going to put 3 sticky notes down. I'm going to have them look away. And then I'm going to put our friend, while they're looking away, I don't want them to see where I put them, under one of these sticky notes. And I'm going to have them guess, which sticky note do you think it is? They'll be like, oh, I think it's this one. You'll be like, nope, that is wrong. So then they had a 1 out of 3 chance. But if you give them 2 guesses, it's now going to be a 2/3 chance that they're going to win. Because they're going to be like, I picked this one. Well, that's wrong. Like, okay, now I have 2 to choose from. I'm going to choose this one. And they guess wrong again because he's actually under the middle one. And this is a fun game you can play. It takes very little supplies, and it's really quick. And you can just have fun with it and see how many times you can win, how many times you can lose. Another thing you can do is actually make your own dice. All dice are 3D shapes. They're just cubes, pyramids, dodecahedrons, all sorts of different shapes. And the cool thing is you can make your own 3D dice. So that's going to be our big activity for today. All you need is a scrap piece of paper. Mine's not even a full piece of paper. I use this for a different lesson, so I want to reuse the supplies I have. Something to write with. If you want to color it, you're going to want those supplies too. I'm not going to color mine just to save some time. Some tape. A ruler, because we're going to have to make sure they're even sides, so we have even probability. And I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. Just like this. So to do this, we're actually going to need to make an unfolded 3D shape. And I'm going to make mine a cube, because it's really easy to make. Figure out how big you want each side to be. I want my sides to be 2 inches by 2 inches. So they're 2-inch squares. So if you follow along really carefully, I'm going to show you how to make your own 3D cube. You want to start somewhere a little bit in the middle of your page and draw your first line. You're going to take your ruler. And if you don't know how to use a ruler, you always want to start at the 0 end. So at the end that has 1 next to it. And then you want to stop at the big lines for inches. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, and that's how big I'm going to draw my first line. I'm going to make it 2 inches because that's how big I want my sides to be. So I'll lay my paper down, put my ruler in the middle, make a line that's 2 inches long. You want to make it nice and flat. So this is my line, and if I measure it, it is 2 inches long. I'm glad you did the project from this morning with the Simple Machines incline plane lessons. This is something entirely different, so if you want to do a new project today or save this for another day, go ahead. And don't forget, if you ever want to watch them not live, they're going to be at newminds.tv. But I have the first part of my dice, which is just a line going across. But I want to make this into a square. So I'm going to do 2-inch lines down the sides. Make sure they're what's called perpendicular. Perpendicular means that they meet in completely opposite directions. So instead of going side to side, these ones are going to go up and down. So it should almost look like a chair. All these are the same size, but this is the start of our very own dice. The next step is to finish up that box. Put this here. Boom. This is the first side of my dice. Obviously, this isn't the same as a dice. It's just a 2D shape. So we're actually going to have to make 5 more sides to make this into a 3D shape. But we're going to do it in a really easy way. I'm going to make my lines continue down the page. So mine's 2 inches, so I'm going to add 3 more sides. So we need to add 2, 4, 6 more inches. So here's what I'm going to do. I have a 6-inch ruler, but if you have a regular ruler, that works too. Start from the 0 at the corner, go all the way to the 6, and you're just going to draw one really long line. All the way down. I messed up a little bit, but that's okay. I just drew a new line. It doesn't have to be perfect. So this is actually 6 inches. So every time I count by 2, it'll be 2, 4, 6, 8 inches all the way down. Then, just like the top, I'm going to draw my line across on the bottom. Bam. And then I'm going to finish the other side. It should look like an upside down exclamation mark. So it'll look like an exclamation mark this way. I want to finish my other line, so this is a closed shape. Drawing it all the way down. Looking really nice so far. But now I need to make all of these into squares. So I'm going to go down 2 inches. So I'm going to hold my ruler. Find where it says it's 2 inches down. Mine's right about right here. And then I'm going to draw a line across at the 2-inch mark. I'm going to go 2-inch mark. And I'm going to draw my line across. Just like that. So now I have 2 squares. And I'm going to do one more in the middle of these 2. So I'm going to go down 2 more inches and draw a line across. 1, 2. Mark my line. Draw it all the way across. So we should have this, and all the cubes should look like they're the same size. There's only 2 more steps to finish our cube. Hi, Malcolm. All we need to do is add on the top and bottom sides. Because if we look, if we fold this up, it's going to go around 1, 2, 3, 4, and make 4 sides, but we need the 5th and 6th side. So I'm going to go to the very top. I'm going to go off this way because that's where I have some space. I'm going to go 2 more inches and make a box right here next to this top one. 1, 2. 1, 2. So draw my lines. Make sure they're lining up the other ones. If I make them slant, it's not going to turn out quite right. It will still work a little bit, but you want to try and make it as straight as you can. And then I'm going to close the side box. 1, 2. Just like that. And now I need my last side. I'm going to do it on this other corner down here. Line up my ruler. Make sure to always count 2 inches. And this will make a nice big dice. If you want to make it smaller, you can make all your numbers 1 inch. Or if you want to make it a really big dice, you can make them all 3 inches. But you might need some extra big paper for that. And just like the others, I'm going to draw my dice just like this. This is actually a finished dice. And all we need to do is add our numbers. But this is your dice, and this is the challenge I'm going to give you. Think of your favorite board game that you play that has the dice in it. Think of your own way you can add numbers to your dice to make the game a little bit different. So if your board game has a dice with numbers on it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you might want to make some of the numbers bigger and some of them different. So I might make one 0. I might make one a 7. I might add a 3, a 4, a 2, and I'm going to add another 4. So now I have kind of like an extreme dice. I see that's upside down for you guys. Hold on. It's still a little bit backwards. But, so we have 0, 7, 3, 4, 2, and 4. You don't have to have any pattern to these, but think about how you want to make your game more interesting. Excuse me. If you've ever played Mario Party, there's actually special dice in that game that allow you to go faster or slower. Maybe you want to go really, really slow. You make all the numbers 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Or you want to go really fast. So you make them all 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. But this is actually a finished dice. Last thing I'm going to do is show you how to cut it out. And then we'll be ready to go and play a game. You just want to cut around the outside of your shape. You don't want to cut across any of these lines. Just go around the outside. You should have a big S shape when you finish cutting it out. As I'm cutting this out, just a reminder, if you missed any of this or you're just now joining in, feel free to check out newminds.tv, where we post all of these videos for later reference so you can see them anytime you need to. And as of right now, it's absolutely free to go check them out and get all these lessons while you're stuck at home. So I've already started cutting mine out. I'm just cutting along the edges. I'm not cutting across any of my lines. We want all these lines to stay together. I'm going to keep cutting mine out. It's looking pretty good so far. I'm excited to see what this turns into. Almost there. Coming back down the long part. And if you need help, feel free to ask your parents for help, or anyone who's there with you helping out with these lessons. It's okay to ask for help. That just means you're getting better at something you're not quite good at yet. Then eventually, it'll turn into something you are good at. Just don't be afraid to ask for help. So now I have my dice all cut out. The next step is we're going to do some folds. You always want the number side to be on the outside. So if I want to fold it, I want the 0 to go on the outside. So I don't want to fold it in like a book. I want it to go outside like a taco so I can see the numbers. I'm going to fold it over. That's our first fold. And I'm going to do that on every line. I'm going to fold it inside. So now there's 3 and 7 I'm going to fold. Bam. I'm going to fold the next one. Bam. I'm going to fold the next one. Bam. And I'm going to fold the last one. Bam. So now I have this unfolded shape that's kind of bent. And I'm only going to need 3 pieces of tape to actually finish this. So your long side, you're going to make the 2 corners touch each other. Just like this, so it makes a square. And then you're going to put 1 piece of tape to connect them. Make sure they're lined up when you tape them. So I'm just going to take a little piece of tape, about 1 inch long, not very big. Your tape measurements don't have to be perfect. You just want it to be big enough to hold it, but you don't want it to cover the whole thing. I'm using clear tape so I can still see my numbers. So now I have a box with 2 little flaps on it. It's looking pretty good so far. And it's actually almost there. The last 2 things we need to do is to close these flaps and then tape them on the far edge. So this is the side that's the furthest away. So I'm going to close it and then tape it right here. Almost there. There we go. So now I have, it looks like a big present now because the bottom is taped and the side is taped. Now I just have to tape this last flap right here and then I'll be all set on my dice project. And don't throw away your paper, especially if you kept it nice, like mine is still a cool shape. I can use this for other projects that we're going to do during this week, and I can use this for take some notes on, things like that. So this can be recycled, or you can use it for more projects later. And now I have my finished dice. So looking at it, I have 2 4s, I have a 2, a 7, a 3, and a 0. And always to test it, just give it a nice roll. And see, it lands 2 side up. I got a 3 that time. I got a 2 again. I got a 4. I got another 4. And I got a 0. So this is our finished project. When you finish this, think about all the different probabilities of your dice. If you have a number more than once, like mine has 4 2 times, I'm going to say that's 2 out of 6 because there's 6 sides on my dice. So that's a third of the time I'm going to get a 4. A lot of these numbers aren't very big. So if I say I want a number 4 or bigger, I have 4, 4, and 7. So that's only half of the time. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's lesson. I'm going to go ahead and put my scissors away. I will be right back. But thank you guys for tuning in with Real Inspired Learning for All with New Minds. I hope you guys enjoy this, and don't forget to keep practicing your passions until they become your talents. If it's something you really enjoy, you're going to get really good at it the more you practice it. Thank you guys all for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to check out New Minds TV.